responsible for making everything happen. It lights up our cities, creates jobs, powers schools, and transports our people. It drives factories and industry and empowers innovation. It keeps us connected and enables science and exploration. With it, we give and receive better healthcare, and our standard of living in every aspect of life improves. Energy really is the cornerstone of the African economy. But what will we do if this precious resource runs out? How can we protect and develop this lifeblood of our beautiful continent? The African Energy Chamber will host African Energy Week at the Victoria and Alfred Waterfront in Cape Town. The interactive exhibition and networking event will run from 18 to 21 October. The 4-day conference will unite Africa's energy stakeholders, drive industry growth and development, and promote Africa as the destination for energy investments. Recognizing that energy transition is shaping global conversation, the week promotes the continent's position and the future of its energy sector. African Energy Week 2022 will be critical for the continent and its people. is responsible for making everything happen. It lights up our cities, creates jobs, powers schools, and transports our people. It drives factories and industry and empowers innovation. It keeps us connected and enables science and exploration. With it, we give and receive better healthcare, and our standard of living in every aspect of life improves. Energy really is the cornerstone of the African economy. But what will we do if this precious resource runs out? How can we protect and develop this lifeblood of our beautiful continent? The African Energy Chamber will host African Energy Week at the Victoria and Alfred Waterfront in Cape Town. The interactive exhibition and networking event will run from 18 to 21 October. The 4-day conference will unite Africa's energy stakeholders, drive industry growth and development, and promote Africa as the destination for energy investments. Recognizing that energy transition is shaping global conversation, the week promotes the continent's position and the future of its energy sector. African Energy Week 2022 will be critical for the continent and its people. responsible for making everything happen. It lights up our cities, creates jobs, powers schools, and transports our people. It drives factories and industry and empowers innovation. It keeps us connected and enables science and exploration. With it, we give and receive better healthcare, and our standard of living in every aspect of life improves. Energy really is the cornerstone of the African economy. But what will we do if this precious resource runs out? How can we protect and develop this lifeblood of our beautiful continent? The African Energy Chamber will host African Energy Week at the Victoria and Alfred Waterfront in Cape Town. The interactive exhibition and networking event will run from 18 to 21 October. The 4-day conference will unite Africa's energy stakeholders, drive industry growth and development, and promote Africa as the destination for energy investments. Recognizing that energy transition is shaping global conversation, the week promotes the continent's position and the future of its energy sector. African Energy Week 2022 will be critical for the continent and its people.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We're about to begin the proceedings in a few minutes. Please take your seats if you haven't already. Those people in the aisles, if I could ask them to please find your seat so that we can begin the proceedings. We're a little bit behind time, so we'd like to begin shortly. Please take your seats. Hello, good morning to you all. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the 30th Annual General Meetings of the African Export-Import Bank. We have simultaneous interpretation in French and English, so if you need to use the headsets, grab one. There should be someone on the seats. If not, they'll be outside. My name is Mark Edo, and I'm honored again to be back here for another Master of Ceremonies duties, Traffic Warden as I call it. There's 3 days of very, very stimulating conversation and interaction to be had and I'm honored to be working with you to make sure that that goes smoothly. Now, I encourage you to download the Afreximbank AGM app. It's very easy. You just go to your app store and download. Just put in AAM 2023. AAM 2023, find the app and download it, and it will give you the most up-to-date program, because it is changing slightly, so download the app, please. Also, if you cannot find a seat here in this room, which is quite packed, as I see most of the seats already taken, then you could go to the Grand Arena, which is straight out through the doors, outside to the left. And then there is a sort of spillover zone there, and you can watch the proceedings from there, or send anyone that comes late to the Grand Arena on the left. Now, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Governors, Ambassadors, African Union Commissioners, representatives of UN agencies. I want to particularly recognize His Excellency Mahamadou Issoufou, the former president of Niger and the AFCFTA champion. That's your first round of applause for the day. Also, we're graced by the presence of His Excellency Haile Mariam Desalegn, the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia. And from Nigeria, I see over here His Excellency, the former Vice President of Nigeria, Namadi Sambo, is with us. Now, one last round of applause before I begin, because I think this deserves a round of applause. Congratulations to Afreximbank. This morning's launch of Afrexinsure. This is a subsidiary of Afreximbank that offers specialty insurance solutions for trade across Africa, and it was launched this morning. Now, let me take you down memory lane. Let's go back to 1993, when I still had hair. 30 years ago, Nelson Mandela received the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo. Eritrea won its independence from Ethiopia. Manchester United won the first ever Premier League title, and Whitney Houston was topping the charts with the hit song, I Will Always Love You. 1993, 30 years ago, something else happened. A small group of bankers, working out of the Intercontinental Hotel in Cairo, began building the African Export-Import Bank. They were led by Mr. Christopher Edodu. This was a deeply intellectual and hardworking man who was committed to the mission of building a Pan-African institution that could create real change across the continent. President Edodu's DNA, in fact, still runs through Afreximbank, as does the DNA of his successor, Jean-Louis Ekra. Now, among that team was a young banker called Benedict. Benedict was and still is a student of history, and he too believed that they could make history, and they have. Today, we gather here to celebrate the 30th anniversary of an institution that's become fundamental to the fortunes of the continent that we love. Please join me to applaud 30 years of hard work that created the continental champion that is Afreximbank. Now we're here in Ghana, and there's an Ashanti proverb that goes, you must act as if it's impossible to fail. That is so very appropriate for Afreximbank, don't you think? And so we're so grateful to our Ghanaian brothers and sisters for hosting this special AGM, marking 30 years of Afreximbank. I'd like to welcome to the stage His Excellency Honorable Ernest Yedu Addison, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, who will give the welcome remarks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, Professor Benedict Orama, President of the Afreximbank, His Excellency Mohamed Ahmed Maït, Minister of Finance of Egypt, and Chairman of the Afreximbank General Meeting, His Excellency Ambassador Albert Muchanga, Commissioner of Economic Development, Trade, Industry and Mining, and African Union Commissioner, His Excellency the Prime Minister of Bahamas, Mr. Philip Davis, His Excellency the former President of the Republic of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, His Excellency the former Vice President of Nigeria, Mr. Namadi Sambu, His Excellency Muhammadu Isufu, former President of Niger and AFCFTA Champion Sites Oversight Committee, His Excellency Yves Ferman Mamfoubi, Minister of Trade and Industry of Gabon and Chair of the African Ministers of Trade and Industry, His Excellency Honorable Kerry Simons, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade of Barbados, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, Her Excellency Dr. Vera Songwe, Board Chair, Liquidity and Sustainability Facility and former head of international and continental organizations, all protocols observed, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, and let me take this opportunity to wish all fathers in the house a happy Father's Day. On behalf of the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I say a big welcome, or Akwaba, to Accra, Ghana, for this year's Afreximbank annual meetings. The 30th annual meetings also coincide with the celebration of Afreximbank's 30th anniversary. So let me thank the bank for choosing Ghana as the host of your 30th anniversary landmark events. Indeed, Accra, Ghana also hosts the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which makes it the most appropriate place to commemorate 3 decades of successes in promoting intra-African trade by Africa's foremost trade finance institution, the Afreximbank. Mr. Chairman, the overarching theme for this year's meetings is delivering the vision, building prosperity for Africans. The chosen theme appropriately offers an opportunity to all stakeholders gathered here, not only to celebrate the success of Afreximbank over the last 30 years, but also to reflect on how we can meaningfully contribute to Africa's recovery process after the pandemic and speed up intra-African trade, improve Africa's trade performance in the global marketplace through the creation of a single market for goods and services, promote industrial development through diversification and regional value chain development, and also enhance capital flows into Africa. Since its establishment 3 decades ago, Afreximbank has transitioned into a first-class supranational financial institution, championing African trade and driving growth across multiple sectors in Africa. Evidence of the bank's interventions are numerous and includes infrastructural investments to support intra-African trade, investments in agriculture and industry, trade facilitation, trade guarantee and advisory services, and country-specific programs to support those in dire economic situations, among others. Afreximbank has also introduced platforms designed to improve and facilitate trade in Africa, including the Mansa Repository Platform, the Pan-African Payments and Settlement Systems, and the Intra-African Trade Fair. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, during the last 3 decades, Afreximbank has achieved several milestones in line with the vision of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. That vision encapsulates not only Africa's aspirations for the future, but also identifies flagship programs which can boost Africa's economic growth. The highlights of the accomplishments directly relate to upscaling intra-African trade through Afreximbank's collaborations, programs, and projects, and include the establishment of the Afreximbank's Trade Impact Mitigation Facility platform, where Afreximbank intervened strongly during the COVID-19 pandemic and disbursed over $8 billion to central banks and commercial banks to avert trade payment defaults. Part of this funding also went into the procurement of test kits, personal protective equipment, and other COVID-19 containment materials in member states. The bank also disbursed over $5 billion to member states and businesses towards the procurement of food, fertilizer, and grains as the Russian-Ukraine crisis unfolded. Working with the UNECA, the African Union, and the AFCFTA Secretariat, Afreximbank created a pooled procurement platform termed as the Africa Trade Exchange to help African countries procure grains, edible oils, and fertilizers at reduced costs. Prior to the implementation of the AFCFTA in 2021, Afreximbank disbursed over $20 billion in support of intra-African trade and investments, and projected to double this to $40 billion by end December 2026. Afreximbank is also financing African-owned financial institutions to acquire foreign banks operating in member states with a view to building an interconnected African financial system to help promote intra-African trade. Also, through the Afreximbank Trade Finance Facility, about 500 of the continent's 600 regulated commercial banks have been provided with credit confirmation lines to support intra-African trade. The total amount earmarked for this project is about $8 billion. This funding is aimed at ensuring that every country on our continent has at least one bank that has a dedicated credit line to support intra-African trade. Afreximbank is also collaborating with the African Union Commission and the AFCFTA Secretariat to implement the biannual intra-African trade fairs, which may become the premier marketplace for the promotion of intra-African trade and investments. This, coupled with the establishment of the AFCFTA Adjustment Fund, for which Afreximbank is providing a funding of $10 billion, would help African countries effectively adjust to AFCFTA tariff removals and prepare them to participate in the new trading regime. Ladies and gentlemen, we in Ghana have also benefited from a cordial and productive relationship with Afreximbank over the years. To mention a few, Afreximbank's first official deal was a participation in a syndicated loan to the Ghana Cocoa Board. The bank also provided support to Ghana's Volta River Authority in 2014 to enhance energy generation and help resolve the energy crisis the country experienced during that time. Afreximbank has also had a good working relationship with us at the Bank of Ghana and facilitated foreign exchange swap arrangements with banks in Ghana to boost foreign exchange liquidity support for Ghana's international trade. Just recently, in the midst of Ghana's economic crisis, Afreximbank agreed to extend a $750 million loan facility to the country to finance capital growth-related expenditures in the 2022 budget. Over the years, various collaborations between Ghana and Afreximbank have resulted in a disbursement of over $2 billion to support various development and trade-related initiatives in Ghana. Your Excellencies, what clearly stands out in Afreximbank's journey over the past 30 years is its collaborative nature in pursuing initiatives, projects, and programs with other African institutions to achieve the African integration agenda. The planned events for this year's Afreximbank meetings will involve critical discussions across various sectors of our economies. So I encourage all of you to participate actively and help broaden the policy discourse with your contributions towards the prosperity of the African continent and its people. I would also urge you all, especially those visiting Accra for the first time, to find time to explore the city, participate in the planned excursions, and enjoy your stay in Ghana. We wish you a pleasant stay in our country. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause, please, for our host, Governor Addison. Now, we also are graced with the presence of another Pan-African champion and a peacemaker extraordinaire, His Excellency, the former President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, is with us. Now, from its inception, Afreximbank has been headquartered in Cairo. Egypt's not only been one of the founding shareholders of the bank, it's been an absolute outstanding host country. The Minister of Finance of Egypt is the chairman of this Afreximbank general meeting, and here to give the opening remarks on his behalf, I want you to welcome the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Egypt, His Excellency Gamal Negm.
Good morning. First, I would like to thank the government of Ghana for its great hospitality. Honorable former President, Prime Ministers, Governors, Ambassadors, and Ministers. Mr. Chairman of Afreximbank, esteemed guests, African Bank staff, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of His Excellency, the Egyptian Minister of Finance, it gives me a great pleasure to extend to you all a very warm welcome to the 30th annual meeting of the African Export-Import Bank held in this wonderful city, Accra, under the auspices of His Excellency, Mr. Nana Akufo-Addo, President of Ghana. The world economic and financial landscape remain uncertain. As the rest of the world, Africa is facing a number of challenges, from the residual effects of the pandemic, inflationary pressure magnified by the geopolitical tensions, content in global finance conditions, the growing impact of climate change, rising risk of debt distress in large number of countries, and the adverse effects on the demand for African exports. Therefore, there is a strong need to boost regional trade and enact industrial policies for diversification to enhance Africa's resilience to spillover and the contagious effects from the global shocks. And here comes the pivotal role of African Bank across several streams, which are all anchored within the bank's six strategic plan for the period 22-26, focusing on intra-Africa trade, Africa industrialization, and the continental trade leadership in a financially sustainable manner. In this regard, we have to applaud the bank for its efforts and achievements during 2022 in developing and implementing new solutions to alleviate the negative repercussions from global shocks on the continent. In light of these considerations comes the importance of this year's theme, delivering the vision, building prosperity for Africans, which affirms that leading institutions like Afreximbank have to work collectively towards an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens, representing a dynamic force in the international arena. Also, the theme strongly aligns Afreximbank's endeavor with the 2063 agenda and the Africa we want. With this esteemed gathering and level of participation, I hope this year's meetings will introduce advanced experiences, exchange thought on cutting-edge theories, and propose constructive ideas and suggestions for the development and prosperity of Africa. I would like to conclude by wishing the Afreximbank every success and successful annual meeting that support its mandate as one of the leading regional institutions that deliver the 2063 vision. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Just before we started the proceedings, I was having a chat with him, and I asked him what his name meant, Gamal Negm, and he said his name means beautiful star, and I think that Egypt has been a beautiful star in the history of Afreximbank, wouldn't you say? What an incredible room is gathered here today. It's just incredible. We also have the Honorable Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, Minister of Finance over the Republic of Ghana. Please acknowledge him. My dear elder brother is here, His Excellency Ambassador Albert Muchanga, Commissioner for Economic Development, Trade and Industry and Mining at the African Union Commission, has graced us with his presence. The Right Honourable Philip Davis, all the way, this is a long way to come, the Prime Minister of Bahamas and the Chair of CARICOM is also here with us. Staying on the theme of Pan-African champions, we have Ms. Nardos Bekele Thomas, CEO of African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. And last but not least, I think I'm told that Madame Zuma, the first woman chairperson of the African Union Commission, is here somewhere. I've not had sight on her. She's here. There you are, right over there. Welcome. Welcome, Ma. The governor mentioned that, of course, Ghana is quite an appropriate place to have the 30th anniversary because it is also the home of the AFCFTA Secretariat. The AFCFTA holds within it our hopes and our dreams and our aspirations. I always see it more as not my hopes, but the hope for my children and your children and the future of Africa. The man at the helm of the AFCFTA Secretariat is, of course, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, the Secretary General, and he's here with us to give us a few words. Please come to the podium, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Program Director. May I acknowledge the presence here of our former leaders, President Mahamadou Issoufou, former president of Niger and champion of the African Continental Free Trade Area, President Obasanjo, former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, former vice president also of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, my senior brother, President Orama, the board of directors of Afreximbank, the CEO of Auda Nepad, ministers that are here with us, finance ministers, governors of central banks, our host, Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be with you here today as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of Afreximbank, an institution that, as we all know, has been at the fore of investing in trade finance in Africa. Afreximbank celebrates 30 years, and this coincides with the 60th anniversary of the Organization of African Unity. In May 1963 is when the OAU was formed. And our founding mothers and fathers, in their wisdom and in their vision, actually already foresaw that there has to be an Afreximbank. That is why, in accordance with that vision of our founding mothers and fathers, if you look at the treaty documents that establish the Organization of African Unity, they clearly set out an objective, and that objective is that we must have economic integration in Africa, and that we must introduce tools to advance that objective of economic integration in Africa. Payments, a seamless payments system, an intra-Africa trade fair, trade finance that is affordable, inclusivity of trade, to make sure that young entrepreneurs, women-led small medium enterprises, that they have an opportunity to contribute to an integrated market in Africa. And so all of these tools, all of these things that Afreximbank has been doing over the last 30 years were foresaw in the founding treaty of the Organization of African Unity. And all of the past presidents, and I know that some of them are here, the past presidents of Afreximbank have also singularly focused on this objective of integration in Africa and trade finance. And so I'm extremely proud that the AFCFTA Secretariat, under the overall leadership of His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, that the AFCFTA Secretariat is a very strong partner to Afreximbank, and I said this previously. Afreximbank and the AFCFTA Secretariat are like twins, except one twin was born 30 years earlier, the other twin was born 30 years later. But this relationship is important because if you don't have the finance, after you have eliminated all the barriers to trade that exist, your effort will come to zero. And similarly, if you have the trade finance, but the trade barriers remain, the effort and the objective of Afreximbank will come to naught. And so we have a mutually complementary relationship which shares the objective that comes as far back as May 1963, when our founding mothers and fathers in the great city of Addis Ababa decided that they will establish the Organization of African Unity. We have taken this relationship further under the leadership of President Orama and the board, as well as under the leadership of President Isufu. We have introduced, as you know, the AFCFTA Adjustment Fund, the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System. Soon we will introduce an Africa-wide transit guarantee scheme. And all of these tools are important because they make trade accessible, they make trade a reality, they reduce the cost of trade, so that across the length and breadth of our continent, millions and millions of small medium enterprises that are led by women, that are led by young entrepreneurs, can see the benefits of a market that we correctly define as a market that by the year 2050 will have a combined GDP of 16.2 trillion United States dollars. But we have to build the future now. We have to build 2050 now. That is why the partnership with Afreximbank is so critical. And I know that my colleagues in the African Union, in the overall family of the African Union, Ambassador Muchanga is here, CEO Nados is here. All of us in the African Union depend on Afreximbank for your support, for your wisdom, and of course to make sure that as Africans, we create and define our own narrative. That as Africans, we rely on ourselves, and that as Africans, it is ourselves, our own institutions, that will create the better future that we want to see. Former chairperson of the African Union Commission, as you've heard, Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma is here with us this morning, and in being the principal architect of Agenda 2063, the Africa that we want, embedded in it is the AFCFTA as one of the flagship projects. And so I am extremely proud that today we join Afreximbank in celebrating 30 years, and I hope that we will continue the very, very strong partnership for Africa's economic advancement and the advancement of our shared ideals, ideals that have a long tradition and a long history. The AFCFTA has been ratified by 47 state parties. Only one member of the African Union has not yet ratified. The political commitment is there. The political will is there. The tools that we require for success, as I mentioned, are there. The Adjustment Fund, the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System, and others are available at our disposal. And I'm also equally grateful that our heads of states and government have continued to entrust President Mahamadou Issoufou with the task of leading us to make sure that the AFCFTA does indeed become a reality in our lifetime. So I want to thank you very much, and I know that President Issoufou is ready to share with you his vision for the next few years in the implementation of the AFCFTA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for the Secretary General of the AFCFTA, Wamkelemene. I would encourage you, when you're here in Ghana, to visit him and his colleagues at the AFCFTA Secretariat, which is just around the corner. It's a few minutes' drive from here. When you get there, make sure that in the forecourt you find a statue. You'll see a statue, only one statue. And this is honors a man they call the AFCFTA champion, a man whose leadership helped birth the biggest free trade area in the world. Please welcome to give the keynote address on the theme Turbocharging the Implementation of the AFCFTA, the former president of Niger, His Excellency Mahamadou Issoufou.
Excellences, Messieurs les anciens présidents de la République, Messieurs les anciens premiers ministres, Excellences, Professeur Ourama, Monsieur Wankele, secrétaire général de la ZLECAf, Mesdames et Messieurs, je suis ravi de m'adresser à vous à l'occasion de cette cérémonie du conseil d'administration de la Banque africaine Afreximbank et à l'occasion de ce 30e anniversaire de la création d'Afreximbank ici à Accra, au Ghana. Permettez-moi de saluer et d'apprécier le leadership de mon cher frère Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, président de la République du Ghana. Je voudrais également saluer le professeur Ourama pour sa direction, pour l'excellent travail qu'il mène à la tête de notre banque, cette précieuse institution panafricaine de financement du commerce. Tâche extrêmement difficile, surtout quand on sait que le déficit annuel de financement du commerce en Afrique s'élève à quelques 81 milliards de dollars. Je salue également le secrétaire général de la ZLECAf, le dynamique Wankele Mene. Mesdames et messieurs, alors que notre continent ne s'est pas encore totalement remis des répercussions socio-économiques de la COVID-19, le conflit russo-ukrainien représente une autre menace pour l'Afrique qui dépend fortement des importations alimentaires et des engrais à partir des deux pays. Ce conflit qui a perturbé nos chaînes d'approvisionnement peut être aussi une opportunité. Oui, il peut être une chance de réduire notre dépendance aux importations alimentaires en provenance de l'extérieur du continent. Notre ambition doit être d'assurer notre souveraineté alimentaire. La mise en œuvre du plan du développement agricole de l'Afrique et l'accélération de la mise en œuvre de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine constituent deux leviers qui peuvent nous y aider et nous permettre de transformer cette crise en opportunité. Dans ce cadre, et en réponse directe aux effets économiques néfastes de la crise ukrainienne, Afreximbank avait approuvé au 31 décembre 2022 des demandes de financement d'environ 8 milliards de dollars. Il s'agit de soutenir l'importation de fournitures essentielles telles que le pétrole, le gaz, les engrais, les céréales et autres intrants agricoles. En outre, le programme a aidé les États membres à respecter leurs obligations de paiement commerciaux arrivant à échéance. Cette intervention s'explique par la nécessité de faire face à l'urgence. Mais notre ambition est de promouvoir des substitutions aux importations. Notre ambition est de produire et promouvoir le commerce intra-africain afin de contribuer à réaliser l'Afrique que nous voulons. Mesdames et messieurs, réaliser l'ambition, construire la prospérité pour les Africains, thème de la présente rencontre, est en cohérence avec le thème de l'année choisi par l'Union africaine qui est accélérer la mise en œuvre de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine. Partenaire stratégique du processus de la mise en œuvre de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, Afreximbank est un acteur clé de cette accélération. Comme on le sait, dans la droite ligne des décisions des chefs d'État et de gouvernement de l'Union africaine, la banque a développé depuis sa création, il y a 30 ans, plusieurs programmes et outils pour appuyer et favoriser l'intégration des économies africaines et renforcer ainsi leur résilience. Ainsi, Afreximbank a activement soutenu le secrétariat de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, initialement par le biais d'une subvention de 3 millions de dollars pour les 3 premières années de ces opérations, se terminant en 2022. Ce montant a été doublé à 6 millions de dollars pour les 3 prochaines années, jusqu'en 2025. Ces subventions ont été utilisées pour soutenir les négociations, l'engagement du secteur privé et le plaidoyer sur la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine. Afreximbank apporte également son soutien en fournissant le personnel indispensable et toute autre assistance technique souhaitée par le secrétariat dans l'exécution. Elle a fort opportunément soutenu le processus ayant conduit à l'adoption par le 36e sommet des chefs d'État et de gouvernement du protocole